Let me ask you something. When you look at America today, the division, the anger, the fear, do you ever wonder if we've lost something we can never get back? I know you do, because I see it in letters, in faces, in the quiet worry that maybe our best days really are behind us. But what if I told you that feeling, that very doubt you're carrying, is actually the first sign that our greatest chapter is about to begin? Not in spite of this moment, but because of it. Stay with me, and I'll show you why the darkest hour always comes before the most magnificent dawn. Look, I know why you're here. You're watching the news, scrolling through your phone, talking to friends and family, and you can't shake this feeling that something fundamental has broken in America. The division feels too deep. The problems feel too big. And maybe, just maybe, the story you were told about this country was all a beautiful lie. I want you to know, I see you. That pain is real, but it's not what you think it is. You're tired of being told you have to pick a side, that your neighbor is your enemy, that disagreement means destruction. Every problem has 1,000 experts with 1,000 solutions, and you're left feeling like nothing you do could possibly matter. You remember, or maybe you've heard about a time when Americans felt like they were building something together, and you ache for that feeling. You worry that ordinary people like you don't have a voice anymore, that the game is rigged, that caring is foolish. Now, I'm not going to stand here and pretend I have all the answers. I made plenty of mistakes. I was young, inexperienced, probably too confident. But here's what I learned leading this country through the hardest moments. The solutions to our biggest problems have never come from Washington, from experts, from people like me. They've come from people like you who decided that hope wasn't naive, it was necessary, who chose to act even when the odds looked impossible. Right now, you're living in the gap between two stories. The old story says America was great once, and we're watching it die. The new story says America was never great, and we should tear it all down. But there's a third story, the true story, and it's going to change everything for you. This isn't going to be another history lesson or political speech. I'm going to share with you the 3 principles that turned frightened sailors into heroes, that transformed my own paralyzing doubt into the moon landing, that have carried Americans through every crisis we've ever faced, and more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to live these principles starting tomorrow morning. By the end of our time together, you're going to feel something you maybe haven't felt in years, that sense of purpose, that quiet certainty that you're part of something bigger than yourself, that your life, your ordinary, beautiful life matters more than you ever imagined. America's best days aren't over because America has always been you, and you're just getting started. Let me take you back to the moments that taught me everything I know about why this country can't fail, because I've seen what we're really made of. August 1943, pitch black night in the Solomon Islands. I'm 26 years old, commanding a small patrol torpedo boat with a crew of 12 men who trusted me to bring them home. Then, out of nowhere, a Japanese destroyer 10 times our size cuts our boat in half. Everything I thought I knew, every plan I'd made, gone in an instant. I can still feel that moment. The explosion, the water rushing in, men screaming in burning fuel, the overwhelming darkness pressing in from every side. And in that chaos, one thought cut through everything else. This is my fault. These men are going to die because of me. I remember treading water, watching pieces of my boat sink into the black ocean, and feeling this crushing weight of responsibility mixed with pure panic. How do you lead when you have no idea what to do? How do you give orders when you're just as terrified as everyone else? That thought could have paralyzed me, should have paralyzed me. But then something happened. I looked around and saw my crew looking at me, waiting. Not blaming, waiting. And I realized this isn't about whether I feel capable. It's about what these men need me to be right now. So I made a choice, not to be fearless, but to act despite my fear. We had one man badly burned, another with injuries I couldn't even assess in the dark. Every rational calculation said we wouldn't make it, but I grabbed a strap from a life vest, put it in my teeth, and started towing that burned sailor toward an island I could barely see. 3 miles. Hours of swimming, salt water in your mouth, exhaustion in every muscle, not knowing if sharks would come, if Japanese boats would find us, if we'd even reach land before we gave out. And you want to know the truth? I wasn't brave during that swim. I was terrified. I kept thinking, what if I can't do this? What if my strength gives out? What if I'm leading these men to die slowly instead of quickly? But I kept swimming because stopping meant dying, and swimming meant maybe living. It was that simple and that impossible. We made it to a tiny island, barely more than a sandbar with some palm trees. For days we waited there. No food, almost no water, watching for rescue that might never come. Every morning I'd wake up and see these men looking at me, trusting me to figure out a way home. And every morning I had to choose again, give up or keep trying. I carved a message on a coconut shell, found some islanders who could help, and eventually we were rescued. But here's what I learned. America isn't about getting things right the first time. It's about what you do when everything falls apart. It's about looking at people who depend on you and saying, we're going to figure this out together. Every person listening to me right now has been cut in half by something, a loss, a failure, a betrayal, a crisis you didn't deserve. The question isn't whether you can avoid that. The question is, what will you choose to become in those dark waters? Will you keep swimming, or will you let the fear win? Because I'm telling you, on the other side of that choice is a version of yourself you haven't met yet, someone stronger, someone more real, someone who knows what they're capable of when everything else is stripped away. Fast forward to October 1962. I'm in the White House looking at photographs of nuclear missiles 90 miles from Florida, capable of killing 80 million Americans in minutes. Every military advisor, every expert is telling me the same thing. We have to attack Cuba. Now. Today. It's the only way. I couldn't sleep. I'd walk the halls at 3 a.m, knowing that whatever I decided, people would die. Maybe millions. The weight of that friend, I can't describe it to you. Imagine holding the lives of everyone you love in your hands, knowing one wrong move and they're gone. And here's the thing. Everyone around me was so certain. They had charts, data, military plans. Attack now, they said. Show strength. Don't hesitate. And part of me wanted to believe them because certainty feels safe, even when it leads to disaster. But something bothered me. All these certain voices, all this confidence, where had I heard it before? The Bay of Pigs. Vietnam. Every disaster starts with people who are absolutely sure they're right. So I did something that felt weak at the time. I paused. I asked more questions. I brought in people who disagreed with each other. I listened to voices I didn't want to hear. I chose uncertainty over the comfort of certainty. My brother Bobby and I would sit up late, going through every option, every possibility. What if we're wrong? What if there's another way? What if patience isn't weakness but wisdom? And slowly, a different path emerged. Instead of attacking, we'd set up a naval quarantine. We'd leave room for negotiation, for the Soviet Union to back down without losing face. We'd choose pressure over invasion, patience over immediate action. Those 13 days felt like 13 years. Every moment, I wondered if I was making the biggest mistake of my life. The military thought I was being weak. The Hawks thought I was risking American lives through hesitation. And there were moments, I'm not going to lie to you, where I thought maybe they're right. Maybe I should just pull the trigger and be done with it. But we held. We waited. We talked through back channels. And finally, the Soviet ships turned around. The missiles came out. The world stepped back from the edge. We didn't win because I was brave. We won because I was willing to look uncertain, to appear weak, to choose patience when everything in me wanted decisive action. You know what I learned? Real courage isn't about being certain, it's about doing the right thing when you're terrified you might be wrong. Today, everyone wants you to be certain. Pick a side, draw a line, declare your enemy. But America has always been saved by people who were brave enough to stay in the uncertainty, to keep talking, to choose understanding over the comfort of righteous anger. That's the courage we need now. You're facing decisions right now where you don't have all the answers. Maybe it's about your career, your relationships, your beliefs about what's happening in this country, and you're waiting for certainty before you act. But what if I told you that waiting for certainty is just another form of giving up? The courage we need isn't about knowing the right answer, it's about taking the next step when you're not sure where it leads. Now, let me tell you about May 1961. I stand before Congress and say we're going to put a man on the moon and bring him home safely before the decade ends. The problem? We don't know how. We barely got a man into orbit. The technology doesn't exist. It's impossible. After that speech, one of my advisors pulls me aside and says, "Mr. President, you do know we can't actually do this, right?" It was a nice speech, but it's fantasy. And you know what? He was right. Based on everything we knew, it was impossible. We didn't have the rockets. We didn't have the computers. We didn't even fully understand the physics of what we were attempting. It was a goal that made no practical sense. But here's the thing about Americans that everyone always forgets. We don't do things because they're possible. We do things because they're necessary, and then we figure out how to make them possible. That's our actual superpower, not our technology or wealth, but our complete inability to accept that something can't be done every single day for 8 years. Someone would discover that something we thought would work wouldn't. A rocket would explode. A calculation would be wrong. A test would fail. And every single day, they'd try something else. No drama, no giving up, just, okay, what's the next thing to try? Engineers who'd never built a spacecraft figured it out. Seamstresses who'd never worked with space materials learned to sew the suits. Mathematicians, many of them women who weren't even credited at the time, did calculations by hand that would determine whether men lived or died. And July 1969, 8 years and thousands of ordinary people later, Neil Armstrong steps onto the moon. I didn't live to see it, but I knew it would happen. Not because I had faith in technology, but because I had faith in the people doing the work, in their refusal to quit, in their ability to turn impossible into inevitable through sheer persistence. You want to know America's secret? It's not that we're smarter or better than anyone else. It's that when we commit to something that matters, we become unstoppable. Not because the path gets easier, but because we decide the destination is worth every impossible step. You have something in your life right now that feels impossible, a dream, a calling, a change you need to make, and you're waiting for it to feel possible before you start. But that's backwards. You start, and it becomes possible because you're doing it. The moon landing didn't become possible when we had the technology. It became possible when we committed to getting the technology. Do you see the difference? Now, those stories aren't just about history or about me. They're about the 3 principles that made those moments possible, the same principles that have carried Americans through every crisis we've faced. And these principles, they're so simple, a child could understand them, but living them will change everything. Everything I've learned about America, about leadership, about building a life that matters, it comes down to 3 principles. I'm going to teach them to you the way I wish someone had taught them to me, simply, honestly, with no pretense. And I need you to hear this. These aren't just ideas, they're invitations. They're asking you to become someone new. You've heard me say this before. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. But let me tell you what I really meant, because I think we've gotten it wrong. This isn't about sacrifice. It's not about giving up what you want. It's about understanding something that will set you free. You were not put on this earth to consume. You were put here to contribute. And the difference between those two postures, consuming versus contributing, is the difference between a life of anxiety and a life of purpose. I know what you're thinking. John, I'm barely keeping my own life together. I can't save the world. And you're right, you can't save the world. But here's what you can do. You can see the person right in front of you. You can solve the problem you're actually standing in. You can make tomorrow slightly better than today. That's all service ever is. Ordinary people doing the next right thing. Here's what they don't tell you about service. It's not for other people. I mean, yes, it helps others. But the real gift is what it does to you. Every time you serve, even in small ways, you're proving to yourself that you matter, that you have agency, that your life creates ripples. And in a world that's constantly trying to convince you that you're powerless, that proof is everything. Service starts with who's in your home. Are you present? Are you kind? Are you contributing to the peace or the chaos? Then it extends to your street, your neighborhood. Who's alone? Who's struggling? Who just needs someone to see them? And yes, it includes your country, but not in some abstract, flag-waving way. It means caring about people you'll never meet, problems that don't affect you directly, futures you won't live to see. Here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop asking what's in it for me and start asking what can I give, that's the moment you get everything. Not stuff, not success, but something better. Meaning. And meaning is the only thing that actually satisfies the human soul. Let me debunk some lies you've been told. Service doesn't mean self-sacrifice. It means self-fulfillment. You're not losing yourself, you're finding yourself. You don't need to fix yourself before you can serve others. You fix yourself through serving others. Service is the healing, not the reward for being healed. And service isn't for special people. Service is what makes people special. You're not discovering your purpose, you're creating it through service. So here's what I'm asking you to hear. Your anxiety, your depression, your feeling of meaninglessness, it might not be a problem to solve. It might be your soul screaming that it wants to contribute. What if the cure for your pain is on the other side of serving someone else? What if the life you're looking for is waiting in the moment you stop thinking about what you need and start thinking about what you can give? Now let me talk about courage, because we've got this all wrong too. We think courage means being fearless, being confident, knowing exactly what to do. That's not courage, that's arrogance. Real courage is being terrified and doing it anyway. It's acting when you don't have all the answers. It's trusting that you'll figure it out as you go. I was sick most of my childhood, really sick. Doctors didn't think I'd live to be 40, and every single day I had to choose. Do I let this fear of death paralyze me, or do I live anyway? I chose to live, not because I stopped being afraid, but because I decided that fear doesn't get to make my decisions. You're living in a time of massive uncertainty. The economy, technology, climate, politics, everything's changing faster than we can understand it. And you're waiting for clarity, for guarantees, for the perfect moment. But friend, that moment isn't coming. The water's never going to feel warm enough. You just have to jump. Here's what nobody tells you. Certainty is a myth. It's a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. But the people who change the world, who live extraordinary lives, they're not more certain than you. They're just more willing to be uncertain and act anyway. They've made peace with not knowing. Should you start that business? Ask for that promotion? Have that difficult conversation? You'll never know for sure, but waiting for certainty guarantees you'll miss the opportunity. Love is the ultimate act of courage. You're choosing to be vulnerable with zero guarantee of the outcome. And yet it's the most important thing you'll ever do. Speaking up when everyone else is silent. Standing for something unpopular but right. These require courage because you might be wrong, you might be alone, you might face consequences. Start small. Courage is a muscle. Today, Do one thing that scares you a little. Say what you actually think. Try something you might fail at. Admit you don't know. Each small act of courage makes the next one easier, until eventually you're the person who walks toward fear instead of away from it. And let me clear up more lies. Courage doesn't mean no fear. Courage means fear plus action. The fear doesn't go away, you just stop letting it drive. You'll never be ready. Readiness is built through doing, not through waiting. Courage isn't for big moments. Courage is for every moment. The small acts are what prepare you for the big ones. Imagine an America where everyone acted courageously, not recklessly, but thoughtfully, despite uncertainty. Where we tried things, failed, learned, tried again. Where we had hard conversations, where we admitted what we didn't know. That's not chaos, that's evolution. That's how we got here, and it's how we'll get where we need to go. Now, let me tell you something that might surprise you. I don't believe in blind optimism. I've seen too much, lost too much, faced too many real threats to think everything just works out. But I do believe in disciplined hope, and there's a huge difference. Blind optimism says everything will be fine. Disciplined hope says we'll make it fine. Hope isn't a feeling you wait for, it's a choice you make. It's a discipline. Every morning, you wake up and you choose to believe that your actions matter, that tomorrow can be better than today, that the work is worth it. Some days that choice is easy. Most days it's hard, but you make it anyway. Right now, the world is giving you 1,000 reasons to give up. The news is exhausting. The problems feel too big. The division feels too deep. And I get it. I really do. There were days in the White House when I thought, what's the point? We're going to destroy each other anyway. But here's what I learned. Cynicism is easy. It costs nothing. It demands nothing. Hope, real hope, is the hardest work you'll ever do. You know what cynicism is? It's fear pretending to be wisdom. It's your pain trying to protect you by convincing you that caring is foolish. But friend, cynicism has never built anything. It's never healed anyone. It's never made tomorrow better. Hope is what builds. Hope is what heals. Hope is what makes the impossible real. Personal hope is about your life. Are you moving towards something or just away from pain? Are you building or just surviving? Hope is what transforms survival into living. Relational hope is about believing people can change, that relationships can heal, that forgiveness is possible. It's choosing to see potential instead of just past mistakes. Collective hope is about America. It's believing that we're capable of better, even when everything suggests otherwise. It's refusing to accept that division is our destiny. Here's how you practice hope. Every day, you do one thing that only makes sense if tomorrow matters. You plant a tree. You teach a child. You have a hard conversation. You vote. You create. You protect. These acts don't make sense if you've given up. They're declarations of hope. Let me clear this up too. Hope isn't naive. Giving up is naive. It assumes you know the future, that change is impossible. Hope is brutally realistic about the present and radically committed to a better future. You can't just choose hope by feeling it. Feelings follow actions. Act hopefully, and the feeling will catch up. Don't wait to feel it. Hope doesn't mean ignoring problems. Hope means facing problems with the belief they can be solved. It's not denial, it's determination. So here's what I'm challenging you to do. For the next 30 days, practice disciplined hope. Not because you feel it, but because you choose it. Do one hopeful act every day and watch what happens not just around you, but inside you. Watch how it changes the way you see the world, the way you show up, the way you live. America has never survived on easy optimism. We've survived on disciplined hope, on people who looked at impossible odds and said, okay, we'll figure it out. That's our inheritance. That's what I'm asking you to claim. Not because the path is clear, but because you're the one who makes it clear by walking it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, John, these principles sound good, but how do I actually live them? How do I take this from ideas to action? That's exactly what we're going to do next. I'm going to give you specific practices, things you can start doing tomorrow morning that will begin transforming not just your life, but your country. Because America doesn't change in Washington. It changes in your kitchen, in your workplace, in your everyday choices. These aren't complicated. They don't require money or special skills. They just require you. And I promise you this, if you do these practices consistently, 6 months from now, you won't recognize your life. Not because everything will be perfect, but because you'll be different. You'll be the person you were meant to be. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, I want you to ask yourself one question. What's one way I can serve today? Not change the world, not solve everything, just one small act of service. Maybe it's listening to someone who needs it. Maybe it's doing a chore without being asked. Maybe it's helping a colleague with a project. Whatever it is, it should be specific and doable today. This question reorients your entire day. Instead of starting from what do I need, you start from what can I give. And that shift, that one small shift in perspective, changes everything. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become an agent in your life. Keep a journal. Write the question at the top of each page. Write your answer. Then, at the end of the day, write what you actually did and how it felt. That's it. Simple, but powerful. The first week, this will feel forced. That's normal. Keep going. By week 2, you'll start looking for opportunities to serve. By week 4, it'll be automatic. And by month 3, you'll realize you've completely changed who you are. Every day for 30 days, I want you to do one thing that scares you. Start small. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, trying a new food, calling someone you've been avoiding. As you build courage muscle, increase the difficulty. Have a hard conversation. Try something you might fail at. Stand up for something you believe in. Courage isn't about one big moment. It's about 1,000 small moments where you choose growth over comfort. Each small act builds your capacity for the bigger acts. You're literally rewiring your brain to default to action instead of avoidance. In the morning, decide on your courage act for the day. Put it in your calendar. Then do it no matter how you feel. At night, reflect. What did I learn? How did it feel? What would I do differently? The reflection is as important as the act. You'll notice something interesting. The things that terrified you in week 1 won't even register by week 4. Your capacity for courage expands the more you use it. And suddenly, you're the person who does hard things naturally. At the end of each day, before bed, I want you to write down 3 things. 1, one thing you're grateful for today. 2, one small way the world got better today, anywhere, by anyone. 3, one thing you're looking forward to tomorrow. This takes 3 minutes. Do it every single day. Your brain has a negativity bias. It's wired to remember threats and problems. This practice actively trains your brain to notice the good, to see progress, to orient toward the future. You're not ignoring the bad. You're making sure you also see the good. That balance is what hope actually is. Use a simple notebook. Date each entry. Be specific. Grateful for my health is too general. Grateful for the way the morning light hit my coffee cup and reminded me to slow down. That's specific. The specificity matters. It grounds the practice in reality. After 2 weeks, you'll start noticing good things throughout the day because you know you'll need to write them down. After a month, you'll realize your entire lens on life has shifted. You'll still see problems, but you'll also see possibilities. That's disciplined hope in action. Once a week, I want you to have a real conversation with someone different from you. Different politics, different background, different generation, different perspective. Not to debate or convince, just to understand. Ask questions. Listen genuinely. Find one thing you have in common that's deeper than your differences. America's division isn't caused by our differences, it's caused by our separation. We don't talk to each other anymore. We talk about each other. This practice rebuilds the social fabric by reminding you that the other side is actually just people with their own stories, their own pain, their own hopes. It's hard to demonize someone you actually know. Start with curiosity, not judgment. Ask, what's your story? Or, what matters most to you? And why? Or what are you worried about? Listen more than you talk. Find the humanity. You don't have to agree, you just have to see them. This will be uncomfortable at first. You might disagree strongly with things you hear. That's okay. The goal isn't agreement, it's understanding. And understanding is the foundation of everything else. After 6 months of this practice, you'll find that you can disagree without dehumanizing, and that might be the most important skill for saving this country. Here's the thing about these practices. Individually, they're simple. Together, they're transformative. Service makes you matter. Courage makes you capable. Hope makes you unstoppable. The neighbor practice makes you connected. Do all four consistently, and you won't just change your life, you'll change your community. You'll become living proof that America's best days aren't over. So let me bring this home. We started by talking about whether America's best days are over, and I've spent this time with you showing you that the answer isn't about America, it's about you. Because America has only ever been one thing: ordinary people choosing to do extraordinary things when it mattered. You've learned 3 principles today. Service is the rent we pay for living, it's how you find meaning. Courage is acting despite uncertainty, it's how you create change. Hope is a discipline, not a feeling, it's how you sustain both service and courage over time. These aren't just ideas, they're invitations to become someone new, and you've got 4 practices. Ask, how can I serve today? Do one thing that scares you daily. Practice the hope reset every evening. Connect with someone different weekly. Do these things, and everything changes. But here's what I really want you to understand, friend. The reason you're feeling this fear about America's future, it's not because something's wrong with America. It's because something's right with you. You care, and caring in a cynical world feels dangerous. It makes you vulnerable. But that care, that refusal to give up, that's the most American thing about you. You are not too late. You are not too small. You are not powerless. You are exactly what this country needs, right here, right now. Not a perfect version of you, not a more qualified you, just you, deciding that today matters and acting like it. So let me leave you with this. America's best days are not in our past, waiting to be remembered. They're not in our future, waiting to be achieved. They're right here, waiting to be lived by you, by me, by anyone who chooses to stop watching and start building. The torch has been passed to you not from my generation, but from everyone who ever believed that tomorrow could be better than today and decided to make it so. And that torch, it doesn't ask if you're qualified. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It just asks, will you carry it? I believe you will. I believe you already are. And that belief, that's what's going to save us all. If this resonated with you, if something in you just woke up and said, yes, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel so we can continue this conversation. Hit that like button if this sparks something in you. And here's the most important part. Drop a comment below and tell me one small thing you're going to do differently starting tomorrow. Don't make it big, make it real. Because this isn't just a video, it's the beginning of something. It's you deciding that you matter, that your life counts, that America's future starts with your next choice. And friend, I can't wait to see what you choose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Now go make tomorrow better than today. That's all we've ever asked. That's all we'll ever need.